So what is the meaning of yoga? It has a double meaning. One is the union with God. Another is the technique, the kaushala, the technique. So the first part is of course sahaja, is union with God. The other part is of technique. Now if you see that union with God is the culmination, and if that is the goal, there cannot be any technique because it's a spontaneous happening. We spontaneously become the higher personality. Like a chick in the egg becomes the bird. Or we can say the potential egg becomes the chick. Now what does it do? What is the technique? There is no technique. No technique for the egg at all. Now what is the technique the mother does? Nothing. The mother bird also just gives the warmth of her love to the egg, and spontaneously it becomes a chick. Because in the egg it is built in to be a chick, only thing is that she gives the warmth. There is no technique. Does a chicken know any techniques? Can chicken read books? Can she go to a guru to pay money? Can she do these things? If she wants to transform a little egg into a little chick, she only knows instinctively that she has to sit on the eggs with care, instinctively, and to give warmth to the egg. And spontaneously it is done. It is all done already by nature, by God. So she cannot do anything about it. Once you understand the right meaning of yoga, that it is technique as well as it is union with God. So one can understand when people talk of technique, what do they talk of? It's all imaginary, blah, blah, blah. Supposing I want to become a guru, and I'm an Indian, or say Mexican, or someone like that. I can come and tell you, oh, you can get your self-realization, but first you have to cleanse yourself. Now how do you cleanse? Water of life should be there to cleanse you. Bible has talked about water of life. But where is water of life? How are you going to cleanse yourself? We must ask questions to ourselves. How are they going to cleanse ourselves? How did Christ cleanse them? Just by touch or looking at them. Finished. What technique did he use? Did he make them sit for hours together in one Padmasana, or did he make them stand on their heads? Did he? He just touched them. And how did he cleanse? Because he was an authority on that. He was the power of cleansing. He was that pure himself that anybody whom he touched got purified. So there cannot be any technique as far as cleansing is concerned. That's why it is said that you must find out a proper guru, a real guru. Because in the company of a real guru, your attention starts moving out from useless, frivolous things, and you start thinking of your spirit. Because your guru is spiritually endowed. You see the lifestyle of the guru. You see how the guru is. You see how he behaves. How compassionate he is. How patient he is. How unassuming he is. How simple he is. And you start thinking that I should be like him, and there must be something about him, the way he is so kind and so patient and so peaceful and so loving. This should impress you. Not how much money he has got, how many castles he has bought, how many houses he has got, how many kingdoms he rules. The kings and the queens have nothing to do with religion and God. They have nothing to do whatsoever. They have to look after the kingdom. The man who lives with his own earnings, like Christ was the son of a carpenter. So he used to live like a carpenter's son. He did not buy any castle or any big place or anything, and he used to go to a mount and give sermons to people. In the same way, we have to see that when people talk of technique, we should also find out what sort of personalities they are. First of all, such a person is to be compassionate. At least on the face, there should be some light of love. All kinds of dullards, hypocrites, swindlers, and criminals can become gurus by your naive understanding of spirituality. They have to be very, very simple people, easily approachable, knowledgeable, and extremely humble and simple. Now the technique people are talking now, as I told you, there cannot be any technique for realization. And if there is any technique, it starts after realization. For example, there is no technique to put these lights on. It's the simplest thing. Just press the button, it's there. It's all built in, done. But if you have to correct it, or if it is now gone out of order, there is a technique. Also there could be a technique, once the power flows, how to maneuver it, how to take it around. If you have to decorate, say, this room with small, small bulbs, then you must know how to connect it with the mains. But if there is no electricity, what technique are you going to do? First of all, there should be that power flowing in you. It would be something like a bankrupt planning a trip to America. It's that absurd. First of all, if the power is not there, what technique can you have? It is as simple as that. But because we are supposed to be intellectuals, we like some sort of a difficult stuff. You see, we don't want to eat like this, we want to eat from this side. We must have a technique to eat our food like that. And if there is a simple method, we think it is very silly. How can that be? It has to be absolutely horrifyingly difficult and complicated. Otherwise, an intellectual is not satisfied. It must be something that you normally do not know. For example, pulling your hair, normally you don't do. Somebody might say that. Or somebody might say, take out all your clothes and start jumping. This is a technique. For that you'll immediately get 900 Englishmen running up to the point, paying £5 each and jumping. And we have got. But when you say there is no technique, people are not happy. Because there is no satisfaction of the ego. What are we doing about it? Now what did we do to become human beings? Did we cut our tails? We just became. It is built in, sahaja, it's spontaneous, it is within you. You do not have to go anywhere to find it, it's within you. Everybody has said the same thing. They were all false people. Now these new people have come up and giving you ideas. They cannot embrace anything that has been handed over to us from generations. They cannot see the unity of all the religions. They cannot see anything. They have to earn their own living. Not living, their own comforts and their own palaces. So they have to take out something new. Have you heard anywhere in any religion which is established that you take out your clothes and jump, you get to God? I mean, every animal does that. And how does it go into the logic of intellectuals? I don't know what's happening with the intellectuals. The intellect is becoming a fermented nonsense, I think now. Because how can you accept such nonsense, absolute nonsense? That you pay for it and get yourself hurt. I don't mind. You do what you like. You can be absurd, foolish, stupid, do what you like. But you hurt yourself. Your inner being is hurt by these things. Hurt beyond repair. It can be a very dangerous game these people are playing because they mesmerize you. If they would not mesmerize you, you would not believe them. So we have to understand that there cannot be any technique if it has something to do with God. It has to work out spontaneously, just by a touch, glance is sufficient. If the person is that pure, what are you purifying yourself for? Why? Like many people believe that we must suffer. Who has told you this? You mean to say God created you, His own children, on this earth, filled you up with all His bounties, and then now He wants you to suffer? Is He mad? Will any father do that? Is there any father alive on this earth who wants his children to suffer? Christ crucified Himself for your sake. Actually, it was your stupidity which crucified Him, that you could not recognize Him at all. Now, why do you want to suffer for that? All these self-destroying, society-destroying, nations-destroying ideas cannot come from God because He is constructing you to be the citizens of His beautiful kingdom. Why will He destroy you? Why will He make you suffer? It has to be a beautiful thing that should happen to you. Now I want to tell you about these techniques today because it is coming to my notice many a times that people are up to that. Some of them ask me that you must give us a technique. So many people have suggested to me some great wise yogis that mother, unless and until there is some sort of a technique, people won't come. But I say, what is the technique? Am I to tell them lies? So now new type of people I have met who are now saying that this is one of the techniques. I mean, you cannot satisfy human beings. If they want to escape truth, they will escape. They'll find out some method with their intellect, so-called, to escape. Intellect has a special quality that it can also cheat you very well. Now see, within us, these are the things that are already present. What do we have? First of all, we have this power of desire. This is expressed outside as left sympathetic nervous system in the brain. Then another we have got here, the power of action, which expresses itself as right side sympathetic. When you go into too much of action, ego is speaking. When you too much go into inactivity and lethargy. Then superego. Going further with it, that when you try to do too much of this, or you go to people who are mesmerizers and things like that, or you take to drugs and you take to certain types of drugs, and you take to certain methods of so-called techniques, then you can move from here, which is the subconscious layer of yourself, into collective subconscious. Now this is another power which gives you the action. Overactivity into anything or any such techniques which give you activity can move you from this to this side into collective subconscious. And down below here is the head. Now, so what have you got? One side is collective subconscious, powerful stuff, where all the sly nonsensical people are still waiting there, their busy bodies to capture you. On the right hand side you have got supraconscious, very ambitious people like Hitler and all that, sitting down here to give idea that I am this, I am that, I am that. Down below you have got hell, where you can go very fast. You can take 2 running jumps and just go down. It's the simplest thing. You don't need much technique. So, in the center we have got this part of our evolution by which we have arrived at the point where we are human beings. So you are a human being. On 2 sides you have got these collective horrible dead things. Down below is the hell, and at the most what you can do is to die. To kill yourself. That also you have to plan out well. Otherwise you may. There are many people who are trying their level best, but they can't. See, there is a technique for that also perhaps. Now when they say we want to give you a technique, what do they do? They can use your ego or superego because you have only 2 things. The main thing is the kundalini which gives you self-realization is sleeping nice. You cannot handle her at all. You cannot touch her. So what do? Mainly, basically, they say that to awaken kundalini will give you a technique. Actually what they do is to use your ego to suppress the superego if it is too much, or they do is to suppress your ego with your superego. Now say a psychologist. I'm sorry if they are English. With due respect. What do? They try to develop your ego to suppress your superego. Like a drunkard is there, an alcoholic is there, a technique is given. They put the wine before him, or maybe the whiskey that he likes very much, and tell him and condition him by telling him that you are so powerful, you are not going to drink. Just one thing. Now what does it entail? Where does it go, all this learning? It goes into the balloon of Mr. Ego here, which suppresses this ego, superego, and you feel better. You do not drink. Alright? You do not drink. But then you start beating your wife. Because what is the escape? Because if you give up superego, then you develop your ego. Now the other technique would be to develop your superego by mesmerizing. There are many people I have seen who are taken to mesmerism very seriously. I mean, in the medicine also, I'm sorry to say there are people of medicine here. They are using mesmerizing people for their own purpose, without understanding what are they up to. Both things are unauthorized. Means if you mesmerize people, you put them into. So super. So a person who is very violent will become subdued. A sadist can become a sophist. I mean, jumping from one to another. Where do you strike the balance? So all these techniques are very temporary and very partial. Because one side develops, the another develops. You have to see this point clearly. Because Sahaja Yoga is not meant for such people who want to go into all these circus and all these kind of activities. It is a very simple thing that there is a Kundalini placed in the triangle, which is to be awakened, which passes through all these centers, pierces through this and gives you a real practice. The other technique is that you get somebody from theological point. I mean, it makes me laugh when I see all that. Very seriously, they'll get some water, bring the child, put it on the head, and baptize. How can you? What sort of a thing it is? It's just mechanical. It is so much mechanical, people are discovering. It's so rapidly that all over the places I find the churches are this way. In fact, because there is no living God there. It has to be a living experience. It's a dead stuff. This to this or this to that. It is that absurd that a person who may go to church every day, there is no transformation in him. At the most, through ego, he might control his superego, or through superego, he might control his ego. But living thing is here, which has to go to your heart. As in any living group, people move in stages in the same way in Sahaja Yoga also. But for some people, it can be very fast, very, very fast. If you are complicated, take it. If there are problems, if there is something wrong with your chakras, you have been misidentified, you have had habits which you cannot overcome. It takes little time, doesn't matter. After all, what have you been doing so far? So the growth takes place. In the first place, when the Kundalini rises, she touches all these chakras. And she indicates on the fingers of the Sahaja Yogi what is the problem. Then the Sahaja Yogi, because he is connected and the power is flowing from his hand, he can correct. He can try to maneuver the Kundalini which is being awakened, takes it out, and then it pierces through the Kundalini whole area. You can see with your naked eyes, as you have seen all of you, most of you, that the Kundalini pulsates, she goes up and pierces. She also looks after other organs and this and that. Now, when she goes up, also Kundalini falls down. This is a common experience of Sahaja Yoga.